Okay, so what's happening now? People are killing the virus. You know, they're actually saying, I'm now, and she doesn't go through the bodies with them. I mean, unless she's going to do a long class, and you know what? If she did a long class, that'd be fine. You know, if the benefit was, 2 hours, you could go through the bodies. I don't want you to hand out the list of bodies to somebody to introduce them to this. They're going to think you're nuts, okay? So just don't do it. It's stupid. However, if you're in a class and people are changing and there's 90,000 people now, after the next round standing up, yes, I did that. Well, how do you feel? And you're going to have some nauseated and dizzy people probably in that room, in that stadium, But it will pass. And maybe somebody will even throw up. Oh, God forbid, but no problem. Because if you kill the virus, what does it matter if you throw up? Who cares? I mean, sure, people are going to care because they're hurling and it's disgusting, but hey, it's better than keeping the virus, right? Think about it for a minute. Give it some thought, Let that rattle around in your pea brain for a few minutes. I had to do that. I have a pea brain too, I definitely had to give that some thought, before I made this movie. But she's telling them, look, it will pass. If you're sick, it will pass. But you now know this can be done. And we're not going to try to do this now. Unless, as I say, if you got a 2-hour-long benefit and you're willing to go the distance, hand everybody the list of bodies and go through the bodies with them. Because in that context, it isn't stupid and it isn't wrong and it's not going to mess anything up, Like, I'll tell you what else. You see that the list of pathologies and the list of bodies are in this book, And somewhere, it may say it in the book too, but it says it in where we put it up on the web, that you're welcome to print this book out and give it to your friends. You do not have to worry about them paying anything for it. And thank you for your donation for it. We appreciate it. Please give as much as you can. And at the same time, it's much easier to hand people the book than to require that they pay something, because a lot of them won't, and then they won't get the book. So if you've got 30 of your friends coming over to learn this, and you want to hand that book out, and then they can use it as a workbook, during the evening. I would not suggest giving people this book for free and just leaving it with them. They don't read it. They don't cure anything. They die. They don't get anything out of it, okay? But, if you're going to be there with them and you're going to introduce them to it, at some point you've done your best. And yeah, then if they choose to die and ignore the book, because they do, they still ignore it. Even after you've done your best, they ignore it. And this is not your fault anymore, okay? It's their problem. At some point, it becomes their ability, their responsibility, and their problem, not yours. So you can just leave it with them. I don't know if you remember, but in lesson 1, I was talking about actually pulling my car over to tell somebody who I saw on the sidewalk who was having a rosacea outbreak. And I've done other things like that with people who I saw with cold sores and so on. Did you ever notice people like that, man? Sometimes they look really unhappy and defensive, and like they've got all kinds of emotional stuff going on about it, and I just really want to help them. Well, I had a serious case of acne when I was a kid too, so that makes a difference for me. I've been there, I know what it's like. I mean, I don't look it, do I? You don't see a whole lot of pock marks on my skin from acne, but man, I tell you, I had on my nose especially, oh God, I had a really serious case of acne when I was a teenager. For years, I battled it. So I know how people feel with that stuff. Anyway, see, what maybe I didn't mention is I pulled my car over and I told her, but then it's her thing after that, you know. She's going to have to Google Cure Drive. I mean, yesterday in the park ranger pulled over and he said, "What are you doing?" You know, he thought I was living here because I have my reflector set up over there, and some people saying, you know, what are you doing? And I said to him, "What does it look like?" and he looked at it for a minute. He goes, "Oh well, it looks like a photo shoot." You know, I said, "Yeah." Anyway, he said he was going to Google the Cure Drive, you know? I mean, like, it spreads, you know? Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But I was there. You on the web? Yeah, you know? You ever watch YouTube movies? Yeah, sometimes. I mean, Google the Cure Drive, you know? So, that's not going to end the epidemic, what I did there. I'll tell you right now. It's not, because I've been doing that. And we've all been doing that for years. That's how come thousands of people have cured things, you know? But we ain't going to be ending no epidemics that way. We got to find this person. That is how it will end. There will be a person who comes along, and they will be responsible and able, and they will end the epidemic. That's how it will happen. You know, until you have that. See, I'm very, like a lot of us are hyper-responsible. Like I was looking at Kathy the other day, who's the over-moderator of the Cure Drive, and I realized Kathy is one of these hyper-responsible people, you know? Like you got to rein her in because she's harming herself with it. It's a dysfunction, you know? But this is what you don't want. So you don't want somebody who's going to do that. But Kathy is also, in addition to being, you know, dysfunctional, aren't we all? You know, she's also responsible in the functional way. And the thing is, she isn't able. And I'm responsible, but I'm not able. A lot of us are like that. We're responsible, but we're not able. So this person is going to also be able. And I think we're going to have to talk to a lot of able people before we find one who's also responsible. Because a lot of able people are jerks. As responsibility, they look responsible because they're the president of IBM or something, but no good. They're nowhere. You know, there's a lot of nowhere people out there who are very successful and look very responsible because they're workaholics or whatever, you know. They think that's responsibility. You know, they do. Like they think being an addict to work is being responsible. They have no idea. Or, you know, there's other people who think paying their bills is being responsible. There's just all kind of aberrated ideas about what responsibility is, you know, in this world that are floating around, and lots of people agree with them, so they feel validated and go on with their addiction, and it kills them. Eventually it kills, you know, addiction causes physical death at some point. Alcoholics know this. Work addicts often don't realize it, especially when they're in denial and haven't actually come to the realization that they're addicted to working. So, you shouldn't have got me started on the addiction thing, but anyway, back to what we're talking about with this. I used to think, when I thought about this stadium full of HIV activists and you know, people who care about it, that people would leap to their feet in the middle of this and run out to tell everyone they knew, we can do it. We've got the weapon now and we're going to end the epidemic. And now what I think is you're going to have people leaping to their feet screaming, Judas, at Ashley Judd, you know, you've betrayed us all, you know, how could you have done this awful thing? This is, I have this idea that you're going to hear that at one of these things. You know, well, you see, we're still hanging out in this question. Why would the publisher of the Philadelphia Gay News be handed the cure for HIV and ignore it? Pointedly and purposefully ignore it.